Now, I don't know how many of you have done a solo 1,200 kilometer walk around a Japanese island before. But I have. And it took 40 days. And I walked for 40 days. And on this Japanese island, it's called Shikoku Island, there are 88 Buddhist temples. So there's a trail. You start at number 1, and you go to number 2, number 3, all the way around the island. And number 88 is basically quite close to number 1. That's how it goes. It's a circle. And Japanese Buddhists, like most Buddhists, like to build their temples on top of mountains. So it's a schlep, basically. A mammoth schlep. But I'd heard about this pilgrimage. I was living in Japan for a year and a bit. And at the end, I taught English for a year. And at the end, I said, I'm going to go and do the Shikoku no Hachichu Hachikachu Magori. The Shikoku 88 temple pilgrimage route. So everyone said to me, wow, who are you going to do with it? There are other English teachers. You're going to do it with the English teacher. There's your Japanese friends. Who are you going to do it with? And I said, I'm going to do it on my own. Thank you very much. I want to be in the mountains on my own. I want to spend 40 days on my own. I'm not doing it with someone. And what's the benefit of doing it on your own? Number one benefit is there are no distractions. There are no distractions. You can just be on your own. By the way, no distractions as in just external stuff, so that you can really see the nature and meditate in the temples. But the most important thing is there's no distractions from your mind. It's just basically you and your mind on the trail. It's you and the trail. Amazing thing. Also, this is something that most people have never considered. There's no validation. There's no one to say, hey, look at that beautiful sunset to. There's no one to show off to. There's just, you have to be there. It's you and the trail. Amazing. Is there some loneliness along the way? Some loneliness. Is loneliness a bad thing? Well, you know what? Maybe there's not even loneliness, but there is aloneness, or oneness. He likes those things. Just you and the trail. When I lived in India, I went hiking in the Himalayas a lot. And people said, who are you going with? And I said, I'm going alone. I want to be alone. I just want to sit and breathe. And yes, I'm going to have negative emotions come up and like worry and stuff. But that's okay. I don't want to distract myself from my inner world. You know what? I was a dance music DJ from 18 to 21. Music was a big part of my life. Once I arrived in Asia, I decided I'm not listening to music in earphones. No music. I just want to hear the world. Because I think if you're listening to music, you're also not called alone. You're with some external thing that can control your emotions. Music is so controlling of your emotions. By the way, it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. In the temple, they had music for that reason. We're coming up to Purim. This time next week, by the way, outside of Jerusalem, it is Purim. They'll be having Purim. We'll be having an extra day of holy preparation for Purim, which will be tonight, next week, Sunday night. Unbelievable. But on Purim, what was the problem on Purim? Is that they went and had a feast. Achashverosh had a feast, invited the Jewish people to this feast. And this was a major feast. But one thing Achashverosh didn't have at his feast was music. Famously, no music. Why didn't he have music at his feast? Because he knew that if the Jews heard music, they'd do tshuva. If the Jews heard music, they'd just repent and find spirituality. He didn't want that. But I thought, I don't want music. I just want to be alone, me and the world. When the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, no sounds, completely silent. No mosquitoes buzzing, no cows mooing, nowhere in the world, just complete silence. Aloneness, silence. Now, sages teach us that levad, being alone, is one of the fundamental faculties of your soul. How do we know this? Because Adam was created alone. So there's a faculty in your soul, and he teaches from this that your soul needs you to be alone. Your soul needs alone time. It needs that because it just needs to peel away all the layers basically of your ego. Now your ego in general needs to be distracted time. I need people to like me, I need honor, I need validation, I need friendship, I need fun, I need basically, ultimately what do I need? I need distraction from my mind. This is why people aren't very good at being alone. They're not very good at being alone without a book, without a phone, without anything, because when you're alone, you realize you have a mind, and your mind is an annoying, negative little whatever it is. And so most people's life is about distracting themselves from their mind. So when you're alone, you don't get to do that. Most people's life is about getting their sense of self from what other people think of them. Most people's life is about getting their happiness based on being around other people. So that means you're very, very, very dependent. You're very dependent on other people and the external world. So our sages teach us the ability to be alone means you're not relying on anything. You're not dependent. You're just okay with being you. You're just okay with being you. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm just enjoying life. Now, the way to enjoy life is to be in the present moment. Just be present. Now, the vast majority of the world, for the vast majority of the time, are not in the present moment, and they can't be in the present moment because they're overthinking everything. Your mind's in the past or the future, and you're worried about what other people think about you, and you've got all your worries and stuff. So most people never experience the present moment. However, the present moment is deeply, deeply, deeply healing. It's deeply healing and empowering and vitalizing. You can never fully experience the present moment fully when there are other people around and things going on in your business and your thing. You just can't do it unless you're on a very high level where you can experience someone else fully in the present moment. That's a high level, by the way. So the Torah says, Lo tov heyot adam levado. You're not meant to be alone. You're meant to be around people. You're meant to help widows and orphans. You're meant to get married. You're meant to raise children. You're meant to have students. You're meant to be a student. But you're meant to be able to be alone. You're meant to be comfortable being alone. For many reasons. But one of them is because if you're not actually comfortable being alone, then when you're with other people, you're not really with them. You're needy. You're needy and reliant. I'm only really with you and being sociable because I don't like being alone and I need you to make me feel good and I need things to make me feel happy. So then you're never really at peace. You'll never really have peace of mind if all of your happiness and sense of self and honor and everything and success and all your stuff comes from other people and their recognition and validation from other people. Now, it's fine to have those things, but not to rely on them. So to be alone, just completely alone, helps you build the resilience and the resourcefulness and the inner peace and the presence and the self-confidence and the comfortableness to then be able to really be around other people, but not because I need them, not because I'm reliant, just because I love being around people. And by the way, the happier and more comfortable you are being alone, the more you love being around other people as well. Because I just love you just because I love you, I want to be around you. Many people, by the way, are alone a lot just because they're afraid of other people. They have such a low sense of self that they can't make conversations, so they like being alone. I like being alone. The truth is you don't like being alone, you just don't like being around other people, so being alone is easier for you, which is okay. So when was the last time you were alone for 2 days, let's say? You're alone for 2 days. Now, I'm going to raise the level, alone without a phone for 2 days. I would imagine never. Oh.
Yeah, Yom Tov by yourself.
Okay. When was the last time that happened?
Like 2 years ago.
Oh, well, good.
2022.
Baruch Hashem, how was that?
It was very, very difficult.
Yeah. But good in a way? Or just difficult?
I mean, all the meals alone,
Yeah.
Like, you can't really go that far, from the neighborhood, like outside the neighborhood. So it's really hard.
Great. So once in your life for 2 days, and it was really hard.
Well, yeah, and all the other Shabbats also.
How about choosing? When was the last time you chose consciously? I'm just going to be alone now. I'm just going to go for 2 days on a hike. No phone. I'll keep my phone just in case I got to call someone, but turn it off. Just going to go alone for 2, 3, 4 days on a hike and just be. No book even. So for most people, never. It's just, I can't, it sounds like a nightmare. I was once running a trip in India, and I had a wedding on Wednesday night. The trip started on Wednesday, so someone else, my colleague, he ran the trip, and I was meeting everyone on Friday. I was flying into Dharamsala in northern India on Friday. Wednesday night went to the wedding, Thursday flew to India, got a changing flight, and then got to Delhi, changing flight up to Dharamsala. And this was on Friday morning. Before we land, it suddenly says the weather conditions aren't very good, so we're diverting the flight to Amritsar. Now Amritsar is on the Pakistani border over there. I'd never been there. I'd actually always wanted to go there, by the way. On Pakistani border, it's the Sikhs. And the Sikhs are like the Jews of India. Very monotheistic, I love the Sikhs. Anyway, so one of my highest spiritual moments was actually at the Golden Temple in Amritsar. I got there and the music was playing. I was running a trip as an Orthodox rabbi. And you're allowed to go into their temples, completely monotheistic. So I got there and the music was playing and I just went into like some automatic meditative thing. And I realized, because I lived in India for a year and a half, I realized why Hashem never let me go to Amritsar before that, because I would still be there now. I'd be like the high priest. I really would. It was unbelievable. Anyway, so I go to Amritsar, and then he goes, but don't worry, when we land in Amritsar, we're going to get buses, and we'll take you back to Dharamsala. So I was asking around, and said the bus from Amritsar to Dharamsala, I think it was 12 to 16 hours, something like that. Basically, you're not getting there for Shabbos. So we land in Amritsar, and so now I'm stuck in Amritsar. I got nothing, no supplies. I'd brought some oats they wanted that for breakfast, some people on the trip, and I brought some stuff, nothing. Arrived in Amritsar, didn't have money with me, my credit card didn't work. Basically, I called someone, and I got to a hotel in Amritsar, and that's where I'm spending Shabbos. On my own, in this hotel in Amritsar. So I get the oats, and I make it into balls. You can make hamotzi on that. There was beer in the fridge of the place, and you can make kiddush on beer if you have to. So I got all ready. Then I called down to the kitchen. I said, I need bananas, apples, cucumbers, and carrots. Bananas, apples, cucumbers, carrots. So they were like, do you want us to cut it up? I was like, no, just bring me bananas, apples, cucumbers, carrots, everything. Bring me bananas, apples, cucumbers, carrots. And this is like, I've only got 1 hour before Shabbos comes in at this point. Then I get in the bath. I have pretend it's a mikveh. I'm like, mikveh in the bath. And I basically can't leave the hotel for the whole of Shabbos completely on my own. Probably the only Jew. Actually, there are probably lots of Israelis somewhere. But probably the only Jew in this hotel. And then dressed in my Shabbos suit. You'd think, well, you're only in a hotel, just put on your shorts. It's like, no, it's Shabbos. Dressed in my Shabbos suit. Went onto the roof of the hotel. There was a swimming pool there. Kabbalat Shabbat, the best Kabbalat Shabbat ever. Into my room, singing. I was dancing around my room. Had my beer, my hamotzi, had some raw rice. I used to like eating raw rice in those days. Very cleans your intestines, good for you. Raw brown rice, actually good for you. I think I had a chocolate, and I had the best Shabbos of my life. Just no one knew what my wife. I don't think my wife knew. No one knew where I was. No one could contact me. I couldn't contact anyone else. And I just sat there, watched amazing davening I had in Mesilas Yesharim. So I called my wife on Motzei Shabbos, and I told her the story, and she says, that must have been the best Shabbos. She goes, most wives would be like, I'm so sorry for you. But she knew me, and she was like, that Hashem loves you. And then I got a taxi up, and then lost my phone on the way, and found my phone in a crazy way. Someone from India called Rav Moshe Chaim Eid and said, I found this guy's phone, and he called me, and it was in the hotel. It was a crazy thing. Cheshbon and Hanefesh, number 17. What you want to think about in your life, the 17th one is, השתכלותו בעת שתיתן נפשו לחברת בני האדם וישתשע בהם. You got to see how much you're yearning for people and distractions. Just notice how much you're looking. במילת הבדידות והפרידה מבני האדם, and then understand the great advantage and benefit of being alone and being away from people. Number 17 is, you're never alone, and therefore you're missing out on something that your neshama is yearning for, being alone. You need to make time to be alone. Now that doesn't mean you have to go on a 40-day pilgrimage around a Japanese island. Don't have to do that. But it does mean that maybe go for a walk and sit in the park for an hour. Something. With no book, no phone. Just go and see. And what will happen is, at first it might be difficult, but then you just start calming your mind a bit and you're like, you know what, this is actually quite nice. It's quite nice being alone. The Chovot Halevavot goes into two main things. Well, one, and then I added a second, that most averas, most things that damage your soul are because you're around people. Lashon hara, speaking badly about people. If there are no people around, you can't speak Lashon hara. Jealousy, gossip, slander. He goes on lots of frivolity, sitting around with people just drinking and like shooting the stuff, doing a thing. Yo, what's up? Yo, mama's so fat. Yo, FOMO. YOLO. It's like, what? Come on. We're neshama. You're a neshama. Neshama's not doing that. So, stealing, killing, everything. Basically, most sin, as it were, comes between people. I'm going to add to that. The most suffering comes between people. Most of your pain in your life. So we have physical pain and we get sick, that's painful, but it comes from people. You get jealous, you get angry, you get hateful, people put you down, they insult you, you get upset, you have an ego. So sin and suffering come from being around people. Now the Rambam speaks about this a lot, that you are very, very highly influenced by your surroundings. Your environment has an immense effect on you. So if you're around people who are putting everyone down, that's how we communicate. You know, we just roast people, and that's how. It's my boys, Rabbi. Don't judge me. The boys, we're just having some fun. His mama is so fat, man. I'm like, it's just not okay. How do we know it's not okay? Because no one likes getting roasted. No one likes it, ever. Even if someone gets some roast and you go, oh yeah, you got me, man. Good one, but inside you're like, that hurt, and you want to get them back. You're immediately looking for a comeback roast. You know that. So you've got to know that even when everyone is being the boys, and you're like, yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, good one, man. You've hurt someone. You've hurt someone, and they want to hurt you back. And it's not serious, and you're like, come on, Rabbi. That's a bit extreme, man. I'm like, yes, I am extreme. We are extreme, but that's how you live an extremely good life. I am extreme. I don't want to hurt a Jew for 1 second. I don't want to hurt a non-Jew for a second. I don't want to hurt people. It's just a joke. Yeah, but you know for a fact that if someone made that joke to you, it would hurt you. And you'd be upset. So we have this idea called hitbodidut. Hitbodidut means seclusion. Isolation. Now, in more recent years, since Rabbi Nachman, people think the word hitbodidut means to go into the fields on your own and talk to God. And that is an aspect of hitbodidut, but that's not what hitbodidut is. Avram ben Rambam, the Rambam son, Avram, wrote Hamaspik La'avdei Hashem. Maybe we'll learn this whole, I was looking for it this morning, I couldn't find it. There's a whole chapter on hitbodidut. 1,000 years ago he's writing this. And he says, David HaMelech was a shepherd. Moses was a shepherd. Why are they all shepherds? Because they didn't want to be around people so much. When you're around people, you're going to say bad things and you're going to get hurt. But when you're on your own, you can just internalize, go into yourself, connect to your deeper place within yourself. And then, by the way, don't worry, Moshe and David were the leaders of Israel. It's not like they stayed on their own. Other religions say go on your own and stay on your own forever. Just go. That's it. Go into a temple, go into a cave, you're on your own. Judaism doesn't say that. Judaism says be Moshe and be David. Be the greatest leaders of the Jewish people. Around people all the time. You're the king, you're the prophet, you're everything. But they could only do that. Why? Because they spent a lot of time alone. They spent a lot of time being alone. I'm fine. I don't need other people to think anything of me. Then they can be a true leader, because a true leader isn't for himself, it's for other people. But if you're not able to be alone, then you're not going to really be able to be for other people. So that's it. Cheshbon and Hanefesh, number 17. Notice how needy you are and how reliant you are on other people. Notice that actually causes lots of problems. In general, it causes sin and suffering. And then notice the great benefit of actually spending time alone, even though it's immensely uncomfortable, by the way. Why don't you want to be alone? Because it's uncomfortable. But you're not going to grow if you can't overcome your discomfort. So we said the practical tool is go for an hour once a week on Shabbat. Shabbat afternoon, after lunch. Don't overeat so you're just going to pass out. Eat what you're meant to eat, and then just go for a walk on your own. Go and be alone. That's lovely. Then, once a year, I did this when I was married for the first 5 years. I haven't done it for a while. But 3 days I'd go to the desert. I said to my wife when we were dating, I just want you to know, it would be beneficial for me and you and our children and everyone if I get to go to the desert for 3 days once a year. And I used to do that just before Pesach. Go. Hasn't happened for 10 years now. But still every year my wife says, you need to make time to go to the desert. I'm like, I know. She goes instead now. She goes to a nice hotel in the Dead Sea on her own for a bit because she needs that. But still, I go every morning to the park on my own. No one else is there. I do what I can. Do what you can. This is another general thing. If you can't do huge things, that doesn't mean you can't do something little. Cheshbon and Hanefesh number 17, the benefits of solitude. Oh, quickly, one more thing. Avraham ben Rambam says there's 2 types of hitbodidut. Number 1 is external hitbodidut. You're in the mountains, you're in the deserts, you're away from people. But if you're in the mountain and the desert away from people, but you can't stop thinking about your business and everyone else and what people think of you, you don't have internal hitbodidut. Internal hitbodidut is you have isolated your soul so you don't even have that voice in your head. Because that's not called alone if you've got that voice in your head and that ego in your head and the problems in you. You're not called alone. You're sitting in a desert on your own, but you're not alone. You've got 1,000 voices in your head. So internal hitbodidut is a form of deep meditation where you've actually isolated your pure being. And then he says you can have internal hitbodidut without external. You could be sitting on the New York metro at rush hour, billions of people with your eyes closed, breathing through your nose, and you could have internal hitbodidut. So external does help in general, internal. So we've got to have both. We've got to find isolation, separation from other people, but then we've also got to find separation from our own internal world, connect to a deep place within ourselves, and then we can come back and be with other people in a healthy way. Be'ezus Hashem, good Shabbos.